we give a look to my hardware configuration. I use my 14 years old notebook. It has only 4 USB ports. Not enough. I keep pump, power supplies and a relay box on the left. On the right I have the gamepad and the mouse. They are connected to these 4 ports USB hub. If you need, you can buy one from me. It works well. On the back I have 2 USB cable extensions connected to the 2 USB microscopes. And another USB extension will be connected to the Arduino shield. Yes, 3 USB cable extensions are provided. You already know how to start UGS. We select the right COM port and we click on Connect. Here I rearranged the layout of the window. I like to keep the jog control on top and the controller state down. So when I use the software, I can check the feed rate and the step size. This is my Centroid file. I reordered it just to follow the assembling step that I was performing using the manual machine. First of all, the microcontroller, then the other big components that I keep in a separate container. Later, the 9 10K resistors, and so on. There are no coordinates for the components inside the rack. But later we will see how to get them. We need to calibrate the position of the microscopes. First of all, we give a look to the PSE software. You have the possibility to show a reference cross for ball grid array components. You can also reset the position of the small crosses. Sometimes it may happen that this software won't start, or maybe you cannot connect one of the microscopes. Just deleting the positions file will fix the problem. Open file location. Delete position.txt. The file will be recreated. Choose the second USB camera. How close to the board should the microscopes be? Well, it depends on your target. In my case, I need to see all the pins of the microcontroller. But if you just need to place 0, 2 or 1 resistors, get closer and set the focus again. Let me to rearrange the windows so I can read clearly step size and feed. Okay, now the most annoying part. Calibrating the microscope's position. Obviously, they need to be centered on the needle to avoid parallax error. So this microscope should be at the right distance from the board, but also at the right inclination. The bolt that holds the cylinder goes a little inside it, so you should pay attention when you screw in these 2 small screws. Very little to say. Rotate the microscopes, adjust them in order to not have parallax error or to minimize it. set the zoom you need, getting closer to the board or a little bit far. Then adjust the focus. The first time took me 40 minutes to have the microscope set the way I like. But maybe it's not needed. Some parallax error is okay if you are aware of it. Okay, this alignment is quite good. The left window shows the needle by the microscope facing the X block. The right window shows the needle from the right microscope, the one that faces the Y bar. Its line of view is parallel to the X-axis. To be more clear, now I set some reference cross. With this microscope, I check the X alignment. And with this, I check the Y alignment. To set the microscopes, I worked on a green mat and then on the board. And focus. Then you will not need the crosses. We need to get the coordinate of the components on the rack. So a little bit of G-code. Very easy. Right now we need just to know that G90 is absolute coordinate and G91 is relative coordinate, relative to your actual position. So to get the zero of the board, I choose arbitrarily a resistor. R1 will do it. If I go to its position and then I send the needle to its inverted relative coordinate, the needle will be sent to the board origin. This is just my board origin. I reset the zero in UGS. Now, just to check if everything is okay, I try to input the coordinate of R5. Don't forget to set back to G90, absolute coordinate. OK. We go to the position of the components in the rack. I can note the position or just copy from there. In this kind of resistor tape, the next component should be 4 mm far. I set the step size to 1 mm and I push the pad down button 4 times. Yes, I copy this position. I don't need to check other position for these resistors. I know that they are 4 mm apart from each other. This is my centroid file modified with the coordinates of the resistors in the rack. I copy and I test the gamepad right button to paste the line one by one. As you already know, this is possible thanks to Auto Hotkey and Anti-Micro that are running in my system. Before to watch this video, for sure you have watched the video about how to use the gamepad. Okay, just as an example, we go to pick and place some resistors using this centroid file modified. Here I set a feed of 1000. If you need a faster rotation, set it to 10,000. Some small adjustment may be needed on the go. This because you may pick the component not just in the center. And also because when you rotate the needle, its tip changes position a little in relation to the center of the stylus. It orbits around the center. I will show it later. Here I wanted to check my mobile and I pushed the pedal by mistake. So I dropped the resistor. No problem, we go on. Now I test again without stopping to get the components. Here the wobble I mentioned before. Now some work scenario. I did one single board as an example. I usually prepare 4 boards panelized and I use multiple coordinate system G54 to G59. No need to watch if you don't want, it may be boring.
except that his first name is Antonio. He said he called from a payphone because he did not have a telephone at home. Judging from Antonio's accent, police believe he was born in Cuba. This is a portion of the actual tape recording of Antonio's telephone call. Police in Florida, as well as the friends and family of Rebecca Young, want to urge Antonio to come forward. It should be emphasized that he is not wanted for any crime. On our next Unsolved Mysteries, you'll meet George Anderson, whose apparent psychic abilities amaze believers and baffle skeptics. He says he can help grieving families by communicating with their lost loved ones from beyond the grave. It sounds unbelievable. You can judge for yourself for another edition of Unsolved Mysteries.
You arrived, you're in the other world, you're still alive, and I will see you again. And there's a reason for all of this. I don't know what the reason is, but I will see you again.
6 years almost to the day after David Licata died, another boy, David Elliott of Rochester, New York, dealt with a case of David Licata. While John Elliott was reading it, he dreamed he had a session with George Anderson. In the dream, George said he saw John's son David standing with David Licata.
The dream seemed so real that I decided I ought to pursue a reading with George. This doesn't prove anything to myself. I need hard facts. And so I wanted a number of things out of any vision and any trip to George.
That's all. Contact me if you have some problem or if something is not clear.